Hello and welcome to Design Boss Dialogue, the podcast where bold and ambitious women in interior design come for real conversations to transform and take their businesses to new heights. I am your host, Lisa-Marie Elkhadraoui, interior designer and business mentor, here to share my experiences and insights into running an interior design business, as well as empowering you to build the confident, profitable design business you've been dreaming of and truly deserve. In this space, we blend creativity with strategy to help you craft your success and thrive in the world of design. Every episode is packed with unfiltered, no BS conversations, daily inspiration, and actionable business tips to turn your passion into a thriving, cash-rich business. Together, we're redefining what it means to succeed in the interior design industry, one intentional, game-changing decision at a time. So get ready to step up, elevate, and create the design empire you've always envisioned. Welcome back to another episode of the Design Boss Dialogue podcast. I'm your host, Lisa-Marie Elkhadraoui, and I cannot wait to dive into today's episode. We have got a first part of a two-part series with the gorgeous Nicola Cloherty. She is a body-first and energy-led business coach for women in business. And Nicola has 20 plus years of experience in business and marketing, 10 in entrepreneurship, and as an integrative Reiki practitioner, an energetics expert and guide. She works with high-performing, ambitious, driven women entrepreneurs, leaders, and business owners. And she combines ancient wisdom, science, and strategy with practical steps, personalized energetic set points, and self-serving sacraments, resulting in energetic mastery for women behind the businesses and overall business success. And we're going to be diving into today's conversation all about energetics, cycles, and emotions, and how that impacts our business model, because Nicola weaves a unique tapestry of modalities and tools, including intuitive wisdom, cyclical rhythms, nature, spiritual connection, energy, astrology, and human design to support women in rediscovering their truth, purpose, and power. Today is going to be a powerful one. Nicola, I'm so excited and honoured to have you on.
Oh, I'm so excited and honoured to be here.
Let's do this. So, we've told all our lovely listeners what you're about, and we're going to talk about you, the woman, the powerhouse behind the business, and how your personal energetics, your natural cycles, and your emotions, how do they really impact you in your business and how you support other women in their businesses. But within this particular series, we're also going to look at the energetics and the first two phases of both the menstrual cycle and the moon cycle, and how that really influences how we do business as women. So what does this all mean and how does this impact us?
Great question, Lisa. So I'm going to wrap it up with a nutshell. I call it the strategy of you as a woman in business.
Love.
And love. And there are threefold components, like you said. And that is your energetics, your energy, cycles, and emotions.
Yeah.
But what happens is we forget, or we don't know about these things. And so we think that we are the school we attended, the job we have, where we live, the business, how we work, the business we've created, etc., etc. And yes, we are the physical vessel, the flesh and the blood and the bones and the organs and systems, but we are energy. We are emotional beings. And logic and reason come to visit. The analytical mind is beautiful, but it's not actually where we want to be driving from, right? Yeah. And so knowing that you are energy, science has proved that everything's energy, and knowing that you, as the woman behind the business energy, you get to conduct it, you get to shape it, you get to form it. And side note, of course, we're going to have those days where we are feeling absolutely rubbish and, things overtake us. But the strategy of you is just basically about understand you already have an energetic blueprint. pre-designed that we can tap into and shed light on, and you'll go, holy, can I swear?
Absolutely, go for it.
Fuck. Holy shit. We love an F word.
Shit the bed.
It's like, oh my gosh, this is me. And actually, this is how I'm designed to operate and make decisions and build resilience and be creative and honor my energy and all the things. And I have worked with hundreds of women when it comes to their energetic blueprint that I've never had somebody go, oh, that's not me. But there you get this information, and it creates this self-awareness and then therefore self-prioritization. And with this personal blueprint, you can tap into your own inner world and your own wisdom, your skills that are available to you, rather than, do you know, like I like to say, take people back to school. You know, when you're at school and you have to do the subjects that you're like shite at and you don't want to do. And you're like, this just doesn't come easy to me. That's maths.
I'm having like trauma of maths and geography at the back of the class going, what the holy fuck? I just don't want to be here.
Yeah, or like history, right? Remembering all of those. I was like, but I could tell you a story that I've experienced from a piece of history that I've learned about, but I can't tell you the dates and all the information and, you know, the whole timeline of things. It's about using what is readily available for us. And when we look at our energetics, so one of the three parts, we see ourselves fully and we maximize, optimize, and really utilize in a beautifully loving way those attributes that are available to us so that we feel good and perform well and succeed.
So in an energetic point of view, what could we do on a daily basis that impacts our business from an energetic point then? Well, one of the biggest things that we have to do every day as a business owner is make decisions. Yes. So decisions might be a decision that you have to do to work in your business. So you might be creating a new offer or like working towards something that feels really crunchy and hard and a bit of an edge. And you have to make decisions to do it and, do it, even if it doesn't feel like it feels hard, right? It's, we may need to make a decision with a client that isn't working out. We may need to make a decision about a collaboration. There are many decisions, and our body's intelligence, our body's directive helps us. So from an energetic perspective, when we understand how we are best designed to make decisions, we can use that in our businesses every day. That's one of the things. And not just in business, because nothing's compartmentalized. You can use it in all of life. The whole life. The whole life. So the energetic perspective, it feels kind of quite out there because energetics is like the property of something in terms of energy. But when we go back to like remembering that we are energy, we are emotional beings, energy and motion is emotion, like the two, that basically we are that. So when we know that and we understand that the body directs us, it can guide us towards making a better decision. It can give us insight into how we honor our energy boundaries, from a client perspective. Where are we willing to give? Where are we not willing to give? What are we saying versus what are we doing? For example, we have in our energetic DNA and blueprint, we have a signature theme that tells us that we are like on track and we are loving and it's like, woo! And then we have one that says, like, we are off-putting, and so for a lot of us in this world, either if you're from a human design lens, which we'll talk about a little bit in a sec, from a human design lens, that you, whether you're a manifesting generator or a generator, that makes up 70% of the world's population. And the telltale sign that you're off piece is frustration. So, and the signature piece is satisfaction. So when you do something and you're like, you're like, oh yeah, I just feel so, that's like, so good. It feels so good, right? Satisfaction is just that, it's that like score. Yeah. Frustration, we know that feeling, right? Hell yeah.
Like, so something energetically is off. Yeah. And if you retrace, your steps as to what happened, you will be able to see where that frustration has come from because you've probably made a decision, whether that's saying yes to a client that should have been a no, an opportunity, what have you, that has created that frustration. It's more often than not around the decisions we make. The decisions we make influence so much. And in part 2, we'll go into the emotions, but you think about when we make emotionally loaded decisions and how that impacts. But yeah, the energetic side of things is really seeing yourself in all of your magic and using those tools, those skills, that wisdom in your life and business, and stop trying, and it prevents you from trying to be something that you're not, and just use what's there and available.
I love that. And I think it's women in business and in positions of power and entrepreneurs. I think not maybe a lot of women, but I'd say certainly women that I speak to, they don't naturally understand their energetic blueprints.
No.
Like their blueprint of what they're made up of. And I think if we tapped into that so much more, to really understand actually how do we perform at our best so that our businesses are performing at their ultimate best, there would be so much more. I don't want to use the word success because, that can be, it's a word that, it doesn't feel right for this particular sentence. But I think so many more women would get so much satisfaction out of their businesses. Like feel that it feels hard if they understood the energetics of them and how they need to perform in their businesses at certain points.
Yeah. And sometimes that is a choice of not doing more. So when you understand yourself energetically and you align your action, and sometimes your action, you align your actions or decisions with who you truly are. And sometimes those actions, that action is rest, or that action doesn't have to be pushing harder. Yeah. And in a world where there is so much noise and energy around having to be more, do more, perform more, we have to understand ourselves more deeply and make those decisions that actually go against the grain. It's like, it's like going against the tide sort of thing. But when you understand yourself energetically, even though it feels crunchy and hard to go, do you know what, I'm going to pause here and not plough forward. Yeah. Because we're not taught that, right? It's like you keep going, especially as women who are highly resourceful. I mean, a woman with a family and a home and a business, doing all those things, being able to, being able to do all those things. It's like that you're in this energy that is created on your behalf because of these decisions, and you're in this momentum, and all of a sudden you're kind of like, you're going upstream, and it's like, well, I have to keep going, because if I stop, it's like, what happens if we do stop? And when we do stop and we go, okay, nothing bad happened, when something comes along in the future, you can stop before you're swimming up tide. Does that make sense?
I think it's understanding when to stop and pause and take a breath at the right time to kind of almost do a system reset 100%. So that actually when you do go again, you go twice as fast rather than slugging away.
Yeah, so absolutely.
How, with the regards to the energetics, how does the cycles then intertwine within that? So we obviously talk about the menstrual cycle and the lunar cycle, and today we're going to touch base a little bit on the first two cycles. How does that intertwine, and how important is that for a woman to really understand? Because there'll be women of a certain age that maybe will not have regular cycles have stopped, or cycles are there. So how important is it to understand all of that?
Great question. So regardless of whether you currently menstruate or not, you can use the menstrual cycle and the lunar cycle interchangeably. Yeah. Okay. So you can, and whether you're male, female, whatever you identify as, non-binary, you
animal.
can use these. Yeah. I'd like to be a unicorn, to be fair, but
we can't have it all.
So backstory to a degree. I started understanding, unpicking and teaching menstrual cycles before energetics. Okay. And for me, energetics was a big missing part because we are cyclical beings. The seasons, the 4 seasons happen. You look at the growth of you plant a seed and you look at that growth cycle and death and rebirth kind of energy of look outside right now, we're in winter, everything looks dead, and then we'll come back around again and it will be blooming and full of life. There is this cyclical nature in everything around us. And for me, like energetics, I was like, there's something missing, because there's my DNA and blueprint and then there's these energy and cycles. So how they work together is when you know how you are made up, i.e. in my highest state and self, these skills are available to me. For example, for me, I'll use myself as an example. I have what is called a defined throat in my human design chart. I know that speaking, communicating, using my voice, written verbally, is powerful AF for me as a human, as a tool in my business. However, if I am, and actually this is quite funny because I actually am late luteal now, and so I'm kind of, I always say to people, don't buy into dogma, because, knowing information, don't get dogmatic about it and rigid, because I am literally day 28 of my cycle. So I'm ready to roll, and I'm going against my advice here, a lot of my information here. I hope, because you might say differently, but we can, when we're late luteal or menstrual as women, communication doesn't come as easily to us. So whilst energetically I am somebody who can communicate well, if I'm late luteal or menstrual, communication, because of the way the brain's hemisphere changes and influences, my communication might not be as good. Just like in the menstrual phase of if we look at the menstrual phase in conjunction, in collaboration with the moon, the new moon, that is also so. It's a quieter, more intuitive, reflective energy, rather than an out there ovulatory summer full moon energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So let's just touch base with regards to the 4 cycles to let women know what they are, because this might be, some women might be listening to this going, I didn't have an absolute flying Scooby about any of this.
Yes.
And some women might be like, yeah, I get it. I know it.
Yeah.
But what are the 4 cycles?
The 4 phases. Yeah. So 101, we're going to do a little 101 menstrual moon whistle stop tour.
Love it.
So 4 phases. Menstrual, which can be associated with winter when we're thinking seasons. And that, from a lunar phase perspective, is the new moon. And both equal rest, reflection, heightened intuition, intention setting as well, and a lovely place to let go. We're kind of like reviewing. It's reviewing energy. It's like what worked, what didn't. Where are we setting new intentions? How do we want to kind of proceed forward? Follicular is the next phase. This is spring, and this is the waxing moon. This is building momentum. This is like so if you are a woman who menstruates, this is like coming out of what I like to call your menstrual cave. And you're like back out into the world, and your energy is like,
arrived.
And energy builds, ideas flow, it's new beginnings, it's beginning to take like action and build momentum again. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into these. The other, just so we know for the phases, part 2 will go deeper into these 2 phases. Ovulation, which is equivalent to summer vibes. It is the full moon. It is, energy peaks, like creativity. It's celebrating progress. It's connecting, talking, communicating, social. It also can be quite heightened emotions. If you do follow the lunar cycle, you'll hear like full moon. It's like, it can be quite, quite edgy.
The wolves are out.
Yeah. We're all howling at the moon, naked in a forest somewhere.
In the garden.
And the fourth one is luteal, which is equivalent to autumn. So, you know, like, I love showing the seasons because you can feel it, right? You can feel that shift. And that is associated with the waning moon. So this is energy of like wrapping up projects. You kind of have that get shit done energy at the beginning of it. And then you're like preparing for rest and you're releasing and you're decluttering. Great time to like declutter physical spaces and stuff like that. And so, you know, the cycles in nature show us exactly that through the seasons, through the moon, and through our menstrual cycle as women.
I love that. So women could either follow, like you say, the two go hand in hand, and you can follow one or the other and back and forth. So you can either follow menstrual cycle and lunar cycle, depending to try and pinpoint, you know, what feels good and what you should do in your business and get the advice from the moon, your body, etc., and how that intertwines. And how have you found that has helped you in business?
Oh my gosh.
Deep question.
Big question, and huge discovery, you know, nearly 9 years ago when I really dove head into entrepreneurship fully. So not working in a structure where I had to just go and do and be and then be like, oh, fuck, I'm bleeding. Yeah. Oh, this is why I feel tired, or I can't. It's taken me 7 hours to write a freaking email. Yeah. It was a very crude awakening. So for me, what I do, how I've experienced it is this in itself has been a lesson and over time, because we we have to learn, right, not to say yes to all of the things. This is why the energetic piece is so important, because when you make energetically aligned decisions, you're not saying yes to everything because you're in a scarcity mindset or what have you, or, you know. And I think in business, this can happen. Like, it's like, yes, I'll just say yes to everything, even though we know sometimes it's probably a no.
A no, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, like, the two together have been really powerful. But specifically from a cyclical perspective, I rarely will do front-facing things where I need to be visible, show up, or communicate at this time that I'm in right now, late luteal, unless I have padding around it. So doing this today with you, I know that I have got a really cushioned, it's the weekend coming up, I've got nothing this afternoon, I had some speaking stuff earlier. I know that when I have speaking, I had to had a meeting, and I was like, I know that I've got that, I know that I've got this, totally fine. So I know myself, I've been doing this, living this way a long time, that I can cushion and pad other areas of my life, the way that I move my body, the way that I eat, the way that I socialize, so that I support myself in my business. I know that, and I do schedule around my cycles. So I will look at content that I want to create and use that energy of my menstrual cycle to do that. I'll also, as well, because I've been doing this a long time, even if I'm at a certain point in my cycle, I will use the energy of the moon and lean into that as well. So, for example, if I'm at opposites, it's a full moon, but I am on my bleed. Yeah. They are opposites. I can lean into the moon energy in order to be able to do that. Does that make sense? To create or what have you. But I use it all the time. Like astrology, I use that at the beginning of the week. I have a little ritual myself. I look at what's going on astrologically, how that can influence my business, the way that I show up. I look at, as I say, my schedule, and how I work in my business and on my business. But business changes. So I'm kind of front facing with my clients and business 3 out of the 4 weeks of the month. And sometimes that doesn't coincide with my menstrual cycle. However, I create the padding around that I need. And I make sure I nourish myself in the ways, you know, you've got your physical, your emotional, your mental, your spiritual body and being. And we'll talk a bit more about that in the part 2. But I know that I can support myself more so in those areas when I'm front facing at different phases of my cycle where I wouldn't necessarily choose to be. And you know, it's really liberating. I've had this and it's been hard, and I'm way better at it. Saying, oh no, I can't do that because I'm on my bleed, and I don't do things like that when I'm on my bleed, because I can make that choice. And people are like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I can do that too. And I'm like, fuck yes, you can.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's so important to lean into the power of what feels right for you, and to actually stand and say, no, hold on a second. That's not right for me, so I'm not going to do that. And then understanding, because I think a lot of women are afraid sometimes to step into that power because people pleasers, they feel obliged, the list could go on. And I know when I really started to listen to my body, certainly most probably about 5 years ago, I made some massive changes, and people are like, God, I can't believe you just did that. Or, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. And I'm like, why? It doesn't serve me. So what am I doing? I know at the beginning of last year, I did a little bit of a cull with certain energies and people that were friends, because the energetics of what was going on, obviously this goes down a whole new rabbit hole, but you know, people are like, I literally cannot believe you've just done that. And I said, well, why? It doesn't serve my body. It doesn't serve me. I'm getting drained. Nothing's happening here. So why am I going to take that on?
And this for you, which I know we can talk a bit more about this in part 2, for you, knowing I know your energetic blueprint in DNA, you're open in the emotional center, so other people's emotions can stick to you, and you have to be really discerning about what you take on. And so that's really important. And that decision that you made, like, we have to be cognizant of what drains us and what fills us up. And you know, you and I have had separate conversations around this very recently around that, right? And so what you're willing to give and what you're not willing to give. And when you look at cycles specifically and your energetics, it enhances your productivity and creativity, but also your self-compassion and your self-prioritization and, you know, your responsibility for how you serve yourself and then therefore others.
I love that. And you know what? That is the perfect point to wrap this up, because in part 2, we're going to go deeper into the other 2 cycles. We're going to go deeper into the 4 stages that remind us again, the physical,
emotional, mental and spiritual bodies.
And we're going to dive deeper into the emotions.
Yes.
That how they impact and influence your business as a woman in business. I love this. I can't wait for part 2.
Thank you. Me too.
Oh, I cannot wait to have Nicola back on the podcast for another lovely conversation. Part 2. I will not keep you waiting too long. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. It has been amazing. Have a lovely weekend wherever you are, and you will get another dose of empowerment and inspiring conversation from me soon. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Design Boss Dialogue. If you love what you heard, then please share the podcast with your friends and any women that could do with a dose of empowerment just from me. I would love to hear your thoughts around today's podcast with your key takeaways and wins, because your feedback means everything to me. Also, don't forget to leave a review as well as hit that follow button so you never miss out on any inspiring conversations with me or any other trailblazing women I have on. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes, and remember, unleashing your inner design power and unlocking your true potential is only a click away. See you next time.